Have you ever wondered about the true essence of citizenship? A profound question, isn't it? Citizenship. It's more than just a legal status. It's about belonging, about rights and responsibilities. It's the bridge that connects an individual to a nation. And yet, the rules of this bridge, the laws that define citizenship, are as diverse as the nations themselves. Some countries bestow it by birth, others by blood, and some demand a test of allegiance. And then there's India, a country that stirred the global pot with its Citizenship Amendment Act. Today, we dive deep into India's controversial Citizenship Amendment Act. The Citizenship Act of India underwent a significant amendment in 2019. The Indian government, led by the BJP, introduced changes to the act with a specific intent. The objective was to offer citizenship to persecuted religious minorities from 3 neighboring countries, Afghanistan, Pakistan, and Bangladesh. The rationale behind this amendment was to provide a safe haven for those who faced religious persecution in their homeland. The amended act sought to reduce the citizenship qualification period for these refugees, thus fast-tracking their path to Indian citizenship. Let's delve a bit deeper into the key provisions of the Act. The amendment identified 6 religious communities: Hindus, Sikhs, Buddhists, Jains, Parsis, and Christians from the aforementioned countries. It proposed that individuals from these communities could apply for Indian citizenship, even if they lacked proper documentation, provided they had been residing in India for 5 years, a significant reduction from the previous requirement of 11 years. But the act didn't come without its fair share of controversy. Despite the noble intention of protecting the marginalized, it sparked nationwide debates. Critics raised questions about the act's exclusion of Muslims and its alignment with the secular principles of the Indian Constitution. They argued that the act, by specifying religions, was discriminatory in nature. This was the inception of the Citizenship Amendment Act of 2019. Although the act intended to protect the marginalized, it ignited nationwide debates and protests. Shortly after the act's introduction, protests erupted across the nation. It was not long before the echoes of dissent could be heard reverberating through the corridors of Jamia Millia Islamia and Aligarh Muslim University. Students, faculty, and many others took to the streets to voice their concerns, their placards held high, their voices resolute and unwavering. Their discontent was not confined within the walls of these institutions. It was contagious, spreading from one university to another, from one city to the next. The peaceful protests, however, were not without their share of tumult. Instances of violence began to punctuate the otherwise peaceful demonstrations, casting a shadow over the spirit of democratic expression. Molotov cocktails, tear gas, and rubber bullets became the tools of engagement, transforming university campuses into battlegrounds. The air was thick with tension, the cries of the protesters drowned out by the sounds of conflict. But what sparked this widespread discontent? What were the concerns that fueled these protests? At the heart of the issue was the Citizenship Amendment Act itself. The act, which aimed to provide citizenship to religious minorities from Afghanistan, Pakistan, and Bangladesh, was viewed by many as discriminatory, particularly against Indian Muslims. The public's concerns were not just about the act's immediate implications, but also about its potential long-term effects. There were fears of disenfranchisement, of discrimination, of a society divided along religious lines. The act, which was intended as a beacon of hope for persecuted minorities, was seen by many as a threat to the secular fabric of the nation. The absence of repatriation agreements for illegal Muslim migrants, the definition of illegal migrants under the act, and its impact on the image of Islam were among the many issues that were brought to the fore during these protests. The act, aimed at providing relief to minorities, had now become a source of nationwide dispute. The streets were filled with voices of dissent. The air was charged with demands for justice, and the nation, it seemed, was at a crossroads. Where it would head from here, only time would tell. The Union Ministry of Home Affairs attempted to clarify the act, but public skepticism persisted. In a bid to assuage the escalating tension, the Union Ministry of Home Affairs issued a document that aimed to shed light on the intricacies of the Citizenship Amendment Act. The document claimed to offer a generous treatment to persecuted refugees from Afghanistan, Bangladesh, and Pakistan by reducing the citizenship qualification period. However, this attempt at clarification was met with criticism. The document, some argued, was misleading and poorly drafted. It raised more questions than it answered, particularly about the potential discriminatory impact on Indian Muslims. The document stated that Indian Muslims need not worry about the Citizenship Amendment Act affecting their citizenship. But this assurance did little to quell the public's fears. Concerns about disenfranchisement and discrimination under the Act persisted, fueled by the absence of repatriation agreements for illegal Muslim migrants. The definition of illegal migrants under the Act also came under fire. Critics pointed out that it discriminated based on religion, a claim that only served to deepen the divide and fuel the controversy. Moreover, the Act's impact on the image of Islam was questioned, further highlighting the complexities and potential pitfalls of this legislation. The government's response was, in many ways, a double-edged sword. While it sought to clarify and reassure, it also served to ignite further criticism and skepticism. The document's attempts at clarification were seen by many as a series of half-truths and deceptive claims. Despite the government's assurances, the public's concerns were far from assuaged. Questions about the Act's intentions, its potentially discriminatory nature, and its impact on India's Muslim population remained largely unanswered. Despite the government's assurances, concerns about disenfranchisement and discrimination under the Act continue to linger. Today, the Citizenship Amendment Act remains a contentious issue. The echoes of the upheaval it stirred continue to resonate in the public sphere. There's a palpable tension that lingers, a blend of concern, confusion, and controversy. The Act, while still in effect, has become a symbol of the ongoing dialogue on human rights, identity, and the very definition of citizenship within the Indian context. Recent developments have seen the discourse evolve, with fresh perspectives and narratives emerging from all corners. While some stand firm in their support of the Act, others persist in their critique, questioning its implications on the nation's secular fabric. The government, on its part, has continued to defend the Act, seeking to assuage concerns and doubts. The Act has indeed spurred a nationwide introspection on the nature of citizenship and the values we ascribe to it. It's a conversation that's far from over, one that continues to shape the socio-political landscape of the nation. As we conclude, we ponder on the question we began with: what truly defines citizenship? The answer, as we've seen, can be a complex and controversial one.